What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Alexa Peña, and in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be.
All right, guys. So let's talk about the power of reprogramming your identity. And that alone is the number one thing that I coach my students on, the number one thing that I continue to learn every single day, because we truly have the power to change everything by the way that we continue to perceive our reality. So let's get into it. I'm actually reading a new book, which is called The Greatest Salesman in the World. And this is actually by O.G. Mandino. And he says this quote that I want to share with you today. Failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. And I really want you to understand what that means. This episode is not just about motivation, it is about radical ownership of our life. And why I really wanted to start by this book is because a lot of the times we feel that because of our circumstances, because of where we're at, because of where we were raised, because of the story that we continue to hold about ourselves, that what we currently see in our reality is all we will ever achieve. But the truth here is that we really have the power to reprogram our identity. And by reprogramming our identity, which leads to changing your habits, changing your actions, it will inevitably lead to changing your life. Now, most of us grew up without strong examples of personal growth, but that's not an excuse to stay limited. Nowadays, there's books, there's mentors, there's podcasts that can really help us reprogram our mindset. Now, as we continue to do this, this is part of the stacking of new habits. And by stacking new habits, you actually create a new identity. Identity basically means repeated thoughts and emotions. And if you continue to have this repetition of new thoughts, new emotions, inevitably you're going to have new actions. And these actions are going to allow you to manifest the life of your dreams. If you change the story that you're constantly telling yourself, you change who you become. And I want to give you an example. Let's say I constantly tell myself, you know what, I'm bad with money, which is a true example, by the way. I'm just bad with money. And you know what, I just really never can feel like I'm making enough money. And every time that I make enough, I spend it all. And every single time that I have somebody new in my life, they always come to take. These are all subconscious beliefs that I am holding that are actually creating new neural pathways in my brain. And I've talked about this before, and I want to remind you guys, your subconscious does not know the difference between what is real and what is fake. So if you decide to flip the switch and say, you know what, I maybe don't know about, managing money, but I'm willing to learn more. I'm actually learning to master money. I'm aligning myself with people or books or podcasts that are actually helping me fill my cup. And I'm telling you guys, this is the number one thing that allowed me to really scale past my first six figures because I was in that same boat. I continue to tell myself, well, look at me, look at where I came from. And I don't think I've shared this in the podcast before, but at one point, I actually wanted to be a botanist. And the reason I wanted to be a botanist was because I, number one, love plants, but I was actually looking to do something that I perceived as valuable because of the people that I was growing up with. I grew up thinking that smoking weed was totally fine because I grew up with a bunch of people that were up to no good. Therefore, I was also up to no good. And this is where the power of programming comes from, because the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you are constantly around, the people that you are constantly consuming information from, they're programming your beliefs. They are legit programming the way that you see the world, the way that you interact with the world. And if you can understand that you allowing those things into your life are actually keeping you in the same vibration, aka the same reality that you're experiencing, this is the game changer that will allow you to quantum leap into a new you. Now, I want to give you 3 questions that are really going to help you get out of a situation in which you're perceiving it as a problem. And we want to shift it into power. And these are actually driven from teachings of the old school Tony Robbins. And he talks a lot about mental reframing practices for any challenge. So I want you to write these down. Whenever you're feeling a problem, I want you to ask yourself, okay, what am I going to do about this problem right now? Let's just say you're struggling to pay your rent. Okay, well, what am I going to do about it? I could sit here and wallow. I can sit here and complain. I can sit here and focus on everything that I don't have. Or I can actually shift my focus and focus on the fact that I am blessed and I am healthy and I can go out there and make more money. I can make more abundance. But I've talked about this before. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. And I want to add to that because I believe that when you know that God has your back, and I talk a lot about God in a different context than maybe most religions might want to push their agenda. I believe the power of God is already within us. I believe that God is here to continue to guide us and that God has already given us a standard piece of equipment within each and every single one of us in order for us to succeed. And I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys. I'm literally on vacation right now. My family is in the other room, and I came in here into a closet to make sure that I recorded my podcast for you guys because that is part of me focusing on what I can do about it. I could sit here and be like, man, I didn't have time yesterday. And you know what? I could just like push it for next week, and it is what it is. But when you have discipline to continue to show up in spite of the things that are happening, you are now creating a new identity. And we've talked about boundaries before. So if you have not listened to the podcast where we went into boundaries, I highly encourage you check it out because this is really going to help you start establishing some healthy boundaries to help you continue to grow. Now, the second question you want to ask yourself is, what does this problem mean to me? A lot of the times we get so consumed by a problem because we make it our identity. So let's just say the money example with the rent, right? Maybe you're in that boat and now you spiral and you tell yourself, man, like this is why I can never get ahead. Man, this is why, life is so unfair. Everybody's out to get me. That vibration, and we've talked about this before, you're literally casting a spell over you. That's why they call it spelling. When you're spelling, you're literally bringing words into existence. So if you can understand that that problem, that situation, because this is the reframing practice, right? It's not a problem, it's a situation that I'm facing. What am I going to learn from it? If you can reframe that and understand, okay, what does this mean to me? Why am I tying this into my identity? I'll give you a better example so that because everybody has gone through this. What if somebody ghosts you? Or what if, you just stop talking to somebody? Chances are, if somebody stopped talking to you from like thin air, sometimes you make it about you. You make it about, man, this person just doesn't like me. It could be a friend, it could be somebody you were talking to, whatever the case is. But you need to learn to detach from that perspective because it could be that that person is just not ready for you. It could be that you are just not in alignment with this person. But you make it about you, and therefore now you start questioning your worth, which only leads to more victim mentality. And again, your subconscious does not know the difference between what is real and what is fake. So the more that you focus on everything that you're lacking, the more that energy is going to amplify into your life. And test it out. Test it out. Like literally for the next 30 days, put this to the test and see how every time you focus on something negative, more negative happens. And next time, something that you don't perceive as positive, because remember, in the eyes of God, that situation that maybe you perceive as negative, maybe it's God blocking you from a path that was going to lead you in a situation that was actually going to be worse. And he actually closed that door for him to open a new door that was designed for you to walk through. Now, the third question I want you to ask yourself is, what am I going to do next about this? What can I do to take control over this? Each question is shifting the brain from reaction to creation. And this ties into the laws of the universe, the law of vibration. Your frequency rises when you move from fear to focus. Focus, more of what you're actually looking to amplify, more of what you're looking to call in. So, examples, right? When you stop complaining about your circumstances and you start asking, what can I build from this? This is the reframing that is going to change your life. And I've talked about this as well in other episodes. Your perspective, and they talk a lot about this in Kabbalah teachings, where something negative is happening, just look up to God and say, thank you, God. Thank you, because even though I don't understand why this is happening right now, I know that this too shall pass and that this too is good because I know that I have you by my side. And I know that I don't know the full picture, but I know that you're here with me. And I know that you're holding my hand and you are helping me literally manifest the life that you have given me as my birthright. Now, as we make this part of our lifestyle, how can you recreate your story? Well, the first thing is that you need to actually have awareness. Write down your current self concept. What do you believe about your worth, your success, your future? And I need you to get very clear on this because until you have clarity, you will continue to recreate the same patterns over and over again. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a new result. Number two, I want you to rewrite this. So replace limiting statements with new affirmations rooted in faith and possibility. So again, maybe in that moment you feel like, man, I wish I knew more. If I knew more, then I could, make more money. Why not say, okay, well, I don't know this yet, but I'm going to learn it. And I'm telling you, my friend, and I'm not your typical mindset positive coach that's just going to be like, yeah, sit in your room and meditate and everything's going to work out. No, you need to work at it. But you need to become conscious of what you've been doing because if you don't know your patterns, you're going to keep living the same patterns over and over again. So when we do this and we actually rewrite these limiting beliefs with the new desired outcome, we are gaining clarity. Now, number three, and this is the part that I love because this is what I coach my students on. You need to learn how to embody this energy. And the only way you can embody it is by actually creating a new identity. And I've made other episodes on that. Check them out because I really believe in this work. This is the stuff that has allowed me to really free myself. And hey, I'm not lying to you and telling you that I never react and I'm just the most namaste person. No, I'm a human. But here's the thing, I can get out of that energy a lot quicker than when I wasn't mindful of who I was, who I was becoming, and who I was presently embodying every single day. So live one day as if you are already that person? Make choices from that version of you. And a lot of my students sometimes ask me, what does that mean? Okay, well, if you are used to sleeping in and never having a schedule and going to parties and never going to the gym, and then you talk shit about people behind their back, but then you're like, I don't know why nobody, accepts me. I don't know why I'm not growing. It's like, well, maybe because you are bringing that energy into your life. And that's what you're ditching out. And remember, as you sow, you shall reap. So make new choices, make new habits, which are going to lead you to a new identity. And the fourth one is really reflect. And for me, it's about gratitude. Each day with gratitude is honestly the best blessing that you can do for yourself, because the simple fact that you're alive right now is a blessing. The simple fact that you have been chosen, okay? Because if we look at the biology of how we're created, there is a ton of sperm cells that are going into the actual uterus to impregnate the egg. And you, my friend, were the chosen one. You were the one that made it through the other side. And I know that was a little graphic there for some of you, but it is the truth. And this is why I am a firm believer. And I forgot which one of my mentors mentioned this, but one of them said, we all have 24 hours in the day. It is how we use them that is going to determine who we become. This is really why I believe in internal healing, because you can go out there and I'm not going to lie to you, you can make money in a lot of ways nowadays, right? But it's not just about making money, it's about living in alignment with the word of God, with the life that God has intended for you. And I know some of you might have, some beliefs with God and spirituality. And I know what that feels like. I've been on that boat, and all I can pray for you and all I can tell you from my own perspective is really just go deep and ask yourself, where did I get these beliefs from? Was it because of the people that hurt me when I was growing up that now I believe that all people that talk about God are evil? Is it because of the situations that I went through that now in that moment I felt there is no God, because how would this person, this God that you speak of, would allow me to go through these things? I hear you. I ask those same questions, but you know what? I now realize that the things that I've gone through and that I continue to go through are genuinely making me the best version of myself. And if you can just reflect on what story you've been telling yourself that no longer deserves to lead your life, and understand that you are not being defined by your past, and that by actually choosing differently, you can actually embody new identity that is going to be in alignment with your highest self. And I've talked about this before. When motivation goes out the door, discipline has to be ready to kick in, because nobody is coming to save you, my friend. Nobody is coming to recreate your life. Nobody's coming to give you a new belief system. Nobody but yourself. But I promise you, if you can do this consistently, your entire life is going to change. So I gotta go. It was a short one for you guys today because my family is literally waiting in the other room. We're gonna go do some fun stuff. I took them out on a vacation and I'm super excited to spend some time with them. But again, my discipline to keep showing up for you guys, it's a conviction. And the more that I continue to grow, my goal is to continue to help you guys grow, because I do believe that the energy we put out there is the energy we receive. So again, remember, if nobody's told you, I love you. You are amazing, and I will talk to you on the next one.
Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Walking Manifestator. And with that being said, I want to remind you, visualize, embody, and transcend. Be the walking manifestator you are born to be.